Hello and welcome to the Managing Madrid podcast. Love that. We are live in New York City with a bunch of loyal Madridistas and one Kool-Aid here. That's okay. We love them as well. We are going to talk about everything Real Madrid preseason related. I'm your host Kiyan. Joining me today is Lilibeth. You go Lilibeth Star is your influencer name.
My Instagram handle.
Is that what we're gonna go with?
Just Lilibeth.
Lilibeth is okay. All right. So today's show is going to be very interactive. We want to hear from you guys as much as possible. As I told you guys off air, it's an honor for me to meet you guys. This is a very special occasion. New York is a very, very special place as well. You know, we've been here, I think, 3 times now. To do podcasts and, of course, covering Real Madrid's preseason. As some of you guys in the audience may know, MetLife is a damned cursed place for us. We got that gong show last night with the rain, and we weren't sure if that was going to go ahead. Then we had the 7-3 against Atletico Madrid and Diego Costa's hat trick, and all the Atletico fans saying, your cycle is finished, it's over. No joke. I thought they were being sarcastic, but there are plenty of Kool-Aids online who are like really drinking the Kool-Aid right now and saying I think they've bought into Laporta's words where he says, let Real Madrid sign Mbappe. We don't want to sign Mbappe. We do it the ethical way. We groom our kids. All right. So very happy for all the Kool-Aids all around the world. We are very thrilled for you. Lilibeth is here. Lilibeth was at the game as well last night. Where would you like to start? I'm very curious. Like, of all the things you could take away from last night.
I think the team looked good. Obviously, it's a preseason and we were missing a lot of key players, but despite the loss, I think that the team looked good. I was also surprised, I have to say, by Barca's young players. I think they also did really well, but we played really good against them. And aside from the loss, it didn't change what I expect from the season at all.
Right. So what were you keeping an eye on, I guess, heading into it? Is there anything in particular that I'm interested to see that, or this player or this tactical wrinkle or something?
I think I just wanted to see if the team kept their form during the break, and some of them did compete in the Copa America and the Euros, so they had more time to play, but I think everyone looked pretty good.
Yeah. So you were very active in the mixed zone last night after the game. So after the game, we basically run down from our press area and we go and see who's coming out. We know Carlo Ancelotti's coming out. We don't know which players are coming out. I went and I asked Carlo a question and I kind of just pieced out and went on my phone and I started vlogging. And then she was there till the end. You talked to how many players?
I talked to 2 Madrid players and 1 Barca player. Courtois and Nico Paz.
Yeah.
And then for Barca, I talked to Pau Victor, who scored the 2 goals.
Right. So what did you ask them and what did you take away?
Well, for Ancelotti, I asked, I think as Madrid fans, we set such high expectations for the team, but mostly because they have kind of set them for us. So now that we have these signings like Endrick and Mbappe, are we going to win the treble this season? Because as a Madrid fan, that is something that I have wanted for so long. I'm a little bit older, so I suffered through those years of droughts with no trophies. And now we're finally back to winning ways, but we're missing the treble, and that's something I really want.
Yeah.
So when I asked Ancelotti that, he said, we're not thinking about that right now. We're just thinking of starting the season well. A very PC answer, but I don't think I'm the only Madridista that's waiting for the treble.
How many, show of hands, how many of you guys think we can win a treble? Oh, you even put that up before I asked the question. You were like, we got the 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hands are going up. Okay.
I think we've always had teams that can win this treble, but I just think that now with these signings, it's almost hard to find an excuse on why we can't win it.
So I'm, just for the record, I'm with the side of the room who did not put their hands up. I just feel like if Real Madrid ever put together a team of Pelé, Diego Maradona, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Zidane, we would lose in the round of 32 Copa del Rey to whoever.
We're cursed in that trophy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like this is we were joking about this before the recording. Like it's a trade-off we make, right? Okay, we don't win Copa del Rey much. Like I barely remember ever winning it growing up. Like it was like a. Does anyone know the exact year of the drought? It was almost 2 decades, was it not? That we didn't win the Copa del Rey. Anyways, it was something ridiculous until we won it recently against Osasuna with the Benzema goal.
Yes.
Yeah. So, right. So, and then you've got Pau Victor.
Yeah, he was excited. He
Yeah.
might not be able to sleep because he
was
scored
stoked.
2 against Real Madrid and
Yeah.
not preseason friendly. But he was excited. He's young. We let him have that. Sometimes you can only win Clásicos and friendlies, and that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, we make that trade.
Yeah. You can,
So how many of you guys were at the game last night? Okay. You did okay?
No,
I mean, I don't. It's a very vague question. Nish lets us know.
it's not even the score. I mean, everything else, the universe is against us.
The universe was against us.
I reached late, and then I'm actually happy that the game is suspended because it felt like the game is waiting for me.
Yeah.
And then it starts, and then I have to pee, and then it's halftime, and I go for that. And there isn't any halftime. It's like they just resume the game in like 2 minutes or something like that.
It was 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And then I come back and I'm like, what? And then we lose. So.
So I'll give you my observations. I mean, like, and Ancelotti had a very good quote, and it's a very obvious quote, but he put it into words after the game where he said, "Look, preseason is about fitness. That's what we're looking at. We're looking. To me, like, so one of the standouts to me was Arda Güler, who I thought over the first 2 preseason games that we had against Milan and Barca, he was probably our best player in the totality of those 2 games. But even with like Güler, it's like, are you really looking to see how great these players are right now? Or are you looking to just get as ready as fast as possible heading into that Super Cup game against Atalanta? And even with Endrick, like I'm really not worried about Endrick, even though he wasn't as good as Arda, like not nearly as good. But it's literally his first 2 games for Madrid.
Right.
And a lot of people are, I think, taking too much away from these preseason games is my point. So I was looking at, I really wanted to see Güler because, funny enough, I had asked Ancelotti about it in Chicago, where I asked him, do you like what's Güler's best position, and do you think it's possible for him to play in a more deeper role as his career progresses? And he said he can play right wing as a 10. I don't want him on the left because I want him to shoot with his left foot. So that was an interesting point. And he also said, yeah, in the future, if you have a midfield 3, he can be one of the 3s. And the next day, and I was like secretly like taking credit for this, even though it's completely delusional. Like the next day in training, he experimented with Arda Güler in midfield. Yeah. So I was hoping we get to see it in the game, but we didn't. But it did dawn on me. I was like, heading into this season, and I want to get your thoughts, and maybe we'll do a quick poll. Assuming these players are starting for sure, right? Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham. Not yet. Fede Valverde, that's 4. Tchouaméni, 5. So that leaves 1 player for the 6th position, right? And in my mind, that was either going to be Rodrigo or Camavinga.
Right.
But I don't know, like now that I think about it, I'm like, Güler's making a case. And I'm not saying he should start right away, but at least like to me, he's in the conversation now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think definitely putting him in on what we would say like are not as important games, or like maybe like an easier team per se, to test him out in a position. I think I agree with that. He's definitely in the conversation, but I think obviously if you're playing like an Atletico or Barca, I don't think I would start him.
Maybe not. Let's do a quick show of hands. Let's start. Assuming those 5 players are the 5 players I'm starting, which I could be wrong, obviously. Who would start Rodrigo as the 6th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so decent amount. I thought it was going to be 0 for a sec. Ronald, you paved the way. You're the leader. Yeah. So what about Camavinga? Okay. Any Güler truthers? Danny Ceballos? Jesus Vallejo. By the way, breaking news. Breaking news as we were recording. Jesus Vallejo is back in training now. So I think he's on a schedule of like he gets injured one and then back for the next, injured the next day. Yeah, so I guess this is not like a bad problem to have. And I don't think we need to have an answer right now as who's the starter, obviously. And I think ultimately this is a good thing. Okay, all these players we mentioned, whether it's Rodrigo or Camavinga or Güler, come in with the mentality of like, I got to prove myself to be a starter. I think it's a good thing. One of the things I'm interested about is like Vinicius and Mbappe are two players who are not going to defend much. So that third player, I think, has a lot on his shoulders to take on some defensive responsibility, because as we saw with PSG, when you had Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar not defending, the whole thing just collapses, right? It might survive most of Ligue 1, but then when they get to the Real Madrids of the competition, you can't get away with it. So, yeah. Any other takeaways from last night?
Someone asked Courtois about his competition, like now that Lunin had a great season with the team and just who's going to be the starting keeper. I thought that was interesting because, I mean, they're both great, but Courtois is Courtois, obviously, but just interesting. I don't know if they'll get rotated. Maybe for Copa del Rey, they'll get rotated, but I thought that was interesting, and I'm excited to see
What did he say?
He knows who he is as a player, and that he knows what he brings to the table, and he's not worried about it.
Right. Did you guys have any standouts in terms of the Castilla guys? You can just blurt it out. Any of the, yeah.
Nico Paz,
yeah,
João Martinez. Impressive.
Yeah.
I think that we have the next center back, João Martinez. At the age that he is right now and playing at the level he did in these 2 games.
Yeah.
I think you don't see performance in these games, you see potential.
Yeah.
And when it comes to potential, these both guys are just very, very good.
So Ronald, you were in Chicago and New York.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything that you saw with him like up close in person? Because I know Chicago, you had great seats. Is there anything that struck you about him out of curiosity? Like his demeanor, or you know what I mean?
I think that João Martinez, at such a young age, you have that leadership.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a center back, you need to show leadership. He would always ask for the ball, get opened up, and just play like almost like one of the veterans. Like if, you know, when you have guys like falling off the roster, like we had in the past, he's one of them that can really come in and show up for the team.
Yeah.
Very impressive guy.
Yeah. Any other names that stood out to you guys?
I agree with him.
Yeah.
And especially with Paz, I see that his game is getting really refined, but I'm
Mhm.
really worried because we just do not have any space.
Yes.
I feel like this is going to be a similar case to some previous talent that we had at Castilla, that they might just go out and never come back.
Mm-hmm.
I see that happening with him, but I still feel he's a really good talent that might come back in the future some way. But I don't see him getting any chances like right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Güler, another just to press on another point that he said about Marquez, I see the same thing in Güler. So whenever you don't give the ball to Güler, he gets so annoying, which is good at the same because he's not shying away from the ball.
Yeah. I agree with pretty much everything you guys both said. I think with Nico Paz, as good as he is, I just don't see a path.
I actually asked him that question. Do you feel like
As to Nico Paz. Yeah.
if you with your performances, you'll be getting more minutes on the first team? Again, a very PC answer. I'll be grateful with whatever Ancelotti gives me.
Oh, I think that quote made it to the Managing Madrid website, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
Good question.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I agree. I don't think there's like a path for him. He may leave and then come back in the future. But I did like what I saw with him as well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's harsh to put it this way, but he's just got so many great players ahead of him, and he's just not as good as Arda Güler, like, to be quite frank. And I think that's going to be his issue. It's like he's clearly too good for Castilla. When you watch him play, there's something very impressive about the way he carries himself, the way he passes. He can. It's kind of a similar role to Güler, right? He can play. It's like a pseudo right wing 10. He's kind of like a more attacking version of Fede in some sense, but he doesn't defend as well as Fede. And he has so many players ahead of him. For that reason, so he probably falls in line with the the list of players we've sold with the buybacks. Like, you don't want to lose him for good. You want to keep him like an arm's length away. Like with Fran Garcia, we sold him, but the moment Leverkusen triggered the buyback, we were like, okay, we have the rights. Let's just bring him back. Like, you kind of want him close enough, but you want him to develop with playing time, right? So that's going to be a tough one. I feel like we need a Güler segment. I don't know if we had the Güler segment yet.
No, but I loved watching him.
Yeah.
Play. I think he's not shy for the ball. I don't know. He was doing some great stuff on the field. There's a bunch of clips that I saw this morning of him yesterday, and I was like, sometimes you get lost trying to keep up with everything, and there's definitely some I missed, and I was like, wow, like that.
I feel like I'm almost annoying people with Güler discussion because like last night I was every time I looked up Güler did something awesome and I just tweeted about it, and at some point I was like, my tweet per second ratio of Güler was out of control. I was like, should I stop? Like, but he just keeps doing amazing things, so I just gotta like type something. Güler, wow, Güler. Like, it's rare to see a player with that level of decision making at such a high rate. Like, if you look at a lot of good players who are promising, you'll see like a lot of just failed passes, bad decisions, which is okay because it's part of the developmental process. Like, they're refining their skill set, they're maturing. Like, it takes time. This guy, like, just every time he has the ball, it's like correct decision, correct decision, correct decision. He's got like 4 players like swarming him under pressure. He knows exactly how to open up his body. He knows which touch to take. He does not panic at all. That's one of the things that struck me. He doesn't look, well, how old is he? 17, 18, 19, 19. Okay, he's 19. The Euro 2024 experience is wild to me because it's his first international major tournament. He looked like a 30-year-old veteran superstar who just looked very comfortable with the occasion. And I think that's what struck me about it, is that even going back to his Real Madrid debut, you guys remember this against that Copa del Rey team, Arandina? Mm-hmm. He plays with the same intensity in friendlies, in Copa del Rey games, in trainings, and then Euro 2024 knockout stages. And that really impressed me. It's like he's always just focused. And his decision making is really good, and he just has the technical ability to like couple with his mentality. I think is what makes me really excited about him.
Yeah, and I think he also missed so much time with his injury that he's just like ready to.
Yeah, but that's another reason why it's impressive, because it's difficult to come back from that kind of injury that's long term, and then to come back at the biggest club in the world, in a new league, new country, new language, like surrounded by some of the best players ever, and like Modric and Kroos, and came in with like no pressure. Like, it didn't look like he felt the pressure. Yeah. The most I've ever seen Arda Güler under pressure was in his like presentation where he didn't know where to stand. Remember when he like gets up at the wrong time and he's just standing there awkwardly. That's like the most like that's like.
Yeah, he's definitely like a calm presence on the field for sure.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Pressure, he's not stressed out. It's nice to watch that because I can never watch a game in peace. So to see a player on the field be in pieces, it's calming.
Yeah, for sure. He instills confidence, I think. Yeah.
I think he has kind of accelerated with decision. Like, I think he has found his starter in Copa del Rey in July. And I believe I think he will play him in midfield either or as a back winger. But absolutely will definitely play Julia in the Copa del Rey.
Yeah. And Ron, you mentioned John Martinez too. It doesn't seem like the club is signing another center back, which to me is like, it's risky. Mm-hmm. And I think it's risky in part because we don't have Nacho anymore. You know, if you had Nacho in the squad, I think there would be more like easiness within the squad. Nacho played over 1,700 minutes last season. He needed to fill in a lot, not just because he's good, but because we needed him to do that. And so I don't know if it magically, like, we don't need another Nacho this year. I think it would be a little bit naive to think that. I asked Ancelotti last night about like, is Joan Martinez ready? Because like we're all impressed with him, and obviously the reason I asked him that is not because I necessarily think he's ready to play minutes right now, but I just wanted to get his perspective of like, where are they on the Joan Martinez development? Like, I know they're high on him, but like, are they high on him enough to like start integrating him now as a 16-year-old? Because what is the alternative? It's Tchouameni at center back, because Alaba might not come back till 2025. So and he Ancelotti kind of expectedly said, I don't, he's
not ready.
I don't know if he said he's not ready.
He needs more time to develop.
Yeah,
he's young.
He's young. He's going to have to play with Castillo a lot, which makes sense. So show of hands. Should Real Madrid sign someone at center back, or should they just ride it out?
I think they should.
They should.
They
We
should.
got a couple for should. Yeah. Okay. So any ride it outs here? Couple ride it outs. You guys have been reading Matt Wiltsey articles, I think. Yeah. Matt Wiltsey is very much on this, and he's not wrong. This like, guys, Real Madrid have a very focused strategy when it comes to transfer. They scout out the guy they love, and if they don't get it, they're not going to force an emergency signing just because. They're going to rely on their squad that they believe in, and it matters. Like the character matters, who they scout. It really matters, right? Which is not wrong. I think it has some drawbacks. Like in this situation, if something goes wrong, and hopefully not, but it might be challenging.
I just think personally, like when we've done that in the past, we've stretched the squad so thin. I think we've been very lucky to like sometimes get the results that we get on how thin we stretched the squad. But I would like to sign a CB, but
which I think that's a correct take. Because even last year with the whole Benzema thing, like when he left and we only signed Kozulu, a lot of people were upset, and I wanted Kane. But like now reflecting on it, I was wrong about that because of the season we had, and there was, trying to say this carefully, there was a little bit of luck, because I don't think even the club expected Bellingham to score like a maniac and save the first half of the season, right? So if Bellingham like wasn't this guy we didn't even know he was, with Vinicius being injured, it would have been could have been completely different. But alas, what happened, and it was amazing. Any other takeaways from last night?
No, I'm excited to get the season started. I want to win the Super Cup. I think starting the season with the trophy is the best way to start the season. And I am expecting a treble.
Okay. Wow.
I'm not letting that go.
Big hot take.
Every year I expect one, so this year's no different.
Nice. I hope your dream comes true one day, for the sake of all.
Me too.
Yeah, all of us. This is the only argument we don't have against Kool-Aid's. It's like, where's your treble? Like, no.
Imagine the Laporta's Kool-Aid.
What's that?
He's just gonna cook up some excuse why that doesn't matter anymore and why.
There's almost a different level. They'll find something. Yeah. Well, Copa del Rey. How many Copa del Rey titles do you guys have? You lost track,
but
man.
The most. The most.
The most. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laliga. You guys were awesome. All right. So what time is it? Plenty of time. Awesome. So if you guys don't volunteer to come up, I'll just literally handpick you to come up. So you might as well just raise your hand and just walk up, because all of you at some point will have to come up. Let's see some service, some leadership. Ronald, yay! All right. Come on up, Ronald. So Ronald has a very unique story from what, talking to him before the recording. Ronald goes to every preseason game every year.
Yep. So
when did this trend start? Do you remember the year?
5 years ago?
Yeah.
6 years ago, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I started.
And so we were trying to figure out if you've ever seen Real Madrid win a preseason game.
No.
But wait, is it a joke, or have they actually lost everything all the time?
No, it was just a joke. I've seen them win against Milan before.
Okay.
Against Club America from Mexico.
Yeah.
I've seen them play. Who else? I've seen Roma as well. Yeah, one. And then I didn't see the one in Chelsea.
Maybe not last year.
Yes. And then after that, it's all been loses, especially against Barcelona.
Yeah.
But if I were to choose between winning all my Clásicos with my boys, who I take them at every game, and winning the season, I will take the season any day. Like before we make the trip, I tell my kids, we're going to Chicago, we're going to New York. We're going to lose those games. They're here, you ask them. And I said, are you guys okay to travel? Because the little one almost, he gets very discouraged about losing, right? And I said, are you okay with it? They're like, yeah, we're fine. Okay, let's make the trip then. Yep.
And now you're here.
Yep.
And now you got one more loss in Charlotte coming up.
Yep.
Yeah. Say?
More loss.
Oh, you're saying it's just Chelsea.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. It could be against the hotel staff here. Awesome. So, what are you most excited for the game in Charlotte? Anything in particular? You're like,
No, not really. I mean, yeah, this is really an opportunity for the club to really discover new talent, and that's it. It's not about performance; it's about potential, and that's all. And then you take all of that back, and then you like I think right center back. We only have two. It's Rudiger and Militao. Right? Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, as a sub, right?
Yeah.
I think we shouldn't sign because we have too many talented players. Like, let's bring back Tomini. He wants to be in the biggest club in the world and win trophies and be a superstar. You can't do it in the midfield. Let's be honest. There's too many good guys before him. Let's bring him back and put him center back. You know what I mean? And I think we have some opportunity. David Alaba is going to come back too. And we'll have this. This is why I think we shouldn't sign a center back. We will. The team has a very good lineup with superstars that can fill in that gap.
So you mentioned John Martinez earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, based on what you've seen, do you think he's ready?
I'm sorry, I don't want to throw you back on your Arda Güler, but seeing, and here's the difference.
Are you about to slander Arda Güler?
Well, hear me out. I've seen the whole game from the field, right? I had the field seat in Chicago, right? When he was attacking time, Arda Güler was awesome, really amazing. But when it came to defending, Lucas Vázquez had to keep screaming his name. If Lucas Vázquez mentioned 20 times Arda Güler's name to come back and defend the way he had to, I'm under the number there. Because he got at least 20 times telling him, hey, get back, Arda, 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 Arda. He kept calling him and trying to position him. And Rudiger kept doing the same thing, right? So he needs a bit more work there. Versus Joan Martinez, he was spot on at every play.
Yeah.
His number, I think he had a pass accuracy of 94% as a center back. That's crazy. And out of the when it came to one-on-ones, he won all of them.
So the reason I asked you about what stood out to you, John Martinez, seeing him up close, is because like what I noticed was there's a certain swagger to him. Like it's one of those things that it's hard to explain, but like he's 16. First of all, I swear he's like 10 foot tall.
Yeah.
He's so tall. Like when you see him up close on the field, like he doesn't look like a Castilla kid. So that's one thing. So, and he's physically very strong for his age. He had some really nice tackles, and he's had some nice tackles on Vinny in training that have gone viral. But there's a certain swag about him that I think is very impressive. But the Arda Güler point I think is interesting because there's that perspective. And then when you see him, I think there are certain parts of his game defensively that are good, and then other things that he needs to work on. So, like for example, he's good at pressing, and you'll see him like fly back for like a slide tackle or something. But then there's that side of things where it's like the positioning and the right back needing to remind him, like, because like, look, Vázquez and Carvajal are used to playing with Fede Valverde, who is a machine who helps them out constantly, right? So if Güler can get that side of his game down, he'll be really great.
I think that's what Arda Güler is missing. Is when it's time to defend and have that relationship with your center backs. That I think is lacking a bit.
Mhm.
You know, I agree with Joan Martinez, the swag, but not only the swag, but I would also say leadership and decision making. When he gets the ball, he already knows what the next play is going to be.
Mhm.
And I think that, having this vital position where if you lose the ball as a center back, you're done.
Yeah.
The fact that he can make a decision quickly, he gets the ball and he's facing Courtois already, ready to make the pass, or Rudiger. It was very impressive, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very impressive. Like he looks great. Did you have any questions out of curiosity? Like, is there anything that's on your mind that you thought like can be Real Madrid related? Anything?
No, I'm just in love with Real Madrid.
Okay.
Man, I like.
You came to the right place.
Yeah, like I'm telling you how crazy I am about Real Madrid. It's like I'm an entrepreneur and I have a few businesses, and all of my management staff knows that I've made this principle with my team, and that is we always win. I don't care how. If we're gonna have to suffer,
Do you at least leave it late? Like you want the remontada, like you want your distress a little bit.
if that's what it's funny. It's funny because it does happen in my industry, yeah. But we're gonna win. It doesn't matter if it's gonna be at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end, but we don't take losses. Pretemporada, that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But when push comes to shove and it's time to play, we're gonna win. So it's part of I have like 3 principles from Real Madrid. One is we always, with the winning mentality, always.
Yeah.
And I just added my 3rd one, and that is when you're not good enough, it's time to retire.
Oh, okay.
And that is the cross principle.
Damn. Ruthless. So you're not handing out contracts to people over 30, probably. 1 year renewal.
Well, not really. Like if you think about Toni Kroos, he could very well deliver for 2 more years, in my opinion. Man,
Cruz had at least that in the tank. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, no questions or nothing. Just want to really thank you for the space and thank you for all you do, because
Thank you, man.
the passion you have for Real Madrid. I think it reflects a lot of us in the room here, how much love we have for this club and how much it represents us. So thank you for the space and thank you for giving us the opportunity to get together and share about this big passion that we all have.
Thank you, man. Without people like you, it's impossible. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Round of applause. Love that. Didn't want to cry this early in the All right. Oh, Brandon Stevens. How you doing, buddy? You were coming from the Yankees game.
I was.
I'll just jump up here really quick.
All right, let's do it.
So how you doing, bro?
Good. How are you? It's great to see you.
So this is it's my honor to introduce Brandon. Brandon has the record for most amount of Managing Madrid podcast in-person appearances.
This is number 5.
This is 5th one. So he's been to New York, Madrid, Toronto.
Yeah, those 3. I've been here 3 times. Well, not this spot, but 3 New York ones, 1 in Toronto, 1 in Madrid. Met Kiyan a bunch of times in Madrid.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm an international Madridista. For any of you that are maybe new or didn't listen to the episode that I came on to, I used to live in Madrid. So been to the Bernabeu a lot, and tengo un corazón blanco.
So the last time we did a podcast in New York, so you know that this room is very different, right?
Definitely.
So we did it at a bar, and people were drunk and falling over. We had to kick people out of the podcast. It was wild. So I was like, next time we come to New York, we're getting a quiet room. That's it. This is never happening again. So you come from the Yankees game.
I am, yeah. They went on a walk-off single in the 10th inning, unfortunately against your Blue Jays. I don't know if you care, but
What is a
Canada
BJ?
beat Toronto. Yeah, it was a super. The game started at 1:35, and there was like a 2-hour rain delay. I should have just left, but I stuck it out, and at that point, I was committed. So I stayed to the end. I knew I'd make it and get to see Kiyan, so and all these lovely people. So
Were you at the game last night?
no, I wasn't there last night. I was seeing my friends play in Bushwick, Brooklyn. So
Good to
busy
see you.
busy weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. You saw I kind of put you on the spot. I just
No, it's all good.
Brought you in. I knew your energy would carry you.
No, I appreciate you having me on.
Out of curiosity, did you have any preseason observations, upcoming season observations, questions, anything?
I am concerned a little bit with the lack of a center back signing, as pretty much everyone is.
We had a big discussion before you came.
Yeah. Then I'm sure, I don't need to wax poetic about that. But yeah, to be honest, I haven't really watched the 2 preseason games. I missed the Clásico last night, which Barca Twitter was celebrating like they won the Champions League, of course.
Yeah. Can I give you guys, so Lily Beth knows this. So I've been to, and Ronald, you might have beaten my record, but this is my 3rd preseason Clásico so far. So I did last night, and then last year Dallas, and then the year before that Vegas. And in all 3 of these occasions, there's a group of Barcelona journalists who come there press row, and I was gonna say pretend, but I don't think they're pretending. I think they truly believe it's a Champions League final. And they go nuts. And if you've ever been press row, you would know that you don't act like a fan. Like, it's highly disrespectful. You sit there, like we'll do fist bumps if Real Madrid score. Like, we'll do like fist bumps or like Max like this, and like, like go like that. Like, these guys stand up and they celebrate. And before the game, they were singing the Barca anthem. They stood up out of their seat, da, 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 like, and they were going nuts. So last year in Dallas, the people working at the stadium had to come and tell them after, I think it was Fermin's goal, they were like, "Hey guys, if you celebrate here, we're gonna kick you out. Like, this is the press area." But anyways,
Yeah.
shameless bastards that they are, they came back this year and they were celebrating again. And so as a half joke, but I like, once they scored the first goal, I looked over at Lily Beth really loud. I was like, "Hey, Lily Beth, is this a friendly or a Champions League final? I'm really confused." And then they kind of quieted, and then when then Paul Victor scored again, they went nuts again. But like, that's all they got. So, like,
Yeah, and ESPN FC has been like going crazy over this like preseason Clásico, like it's the real thing. But
yeah.
But I did watch a lot of the Euros and Copa America, and I was psyched about how Vinny played well until he got suspended. It was rough, but I thought, unpopular opinion maybe for the general football world, but I've heard Kiyan express the same. I thought Jude had a good tournament. I thought Jude played fairly well, and England. If anything, he was a victim of Gareth Southgate, and how bland the England's football was. But I thought he represented himself well. And yeah, I'm excited for Mbappe.
Yeah.
Like it made me like emotional when he finally signed, because I'm right now I'm wearing an 18-19 Modric jersey.
Nice.
Which was the worst season that I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And so I went to Clásico number 1 that we lost 3-0 in the Copa, I think, or was it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the week from hell.
Week from hell.
Yeah.
I went to all 3 of those matches.
I was there all 3.
And I remember the crowd just chanting, "Queremos a Mbappé! Queremos a Mbappé! Queremos a Mbappé!" And 5 years later, like, here we are.
The Ajax game, I remember.
Yeah.
So leaving, God, just suck the energy out of the room. I remember leaving the stadium.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the same night as those Mbappe chants. But
I think so.
I
Yeah.
could hear, Jose Mourinho, Jose Mourinho. Like everyone's like, bring back Mourinho, we need Mbappe. And I like, if you had told me in that moment, and it was depressing leaving the stadium too.
God.
Because I remember like, you know, getting on the subway, it felt like you were in Amsterdam. Like they just
man.
took over the city.
It
And
was brutal.
but in that moment, if you had told me like, hey, Kiyan, don't worry. You're about to win. How many? We won 2 more since then.
Yeah, 2 more since then. I think 3 La Ligas. Yeah, 3.
3?
Yeah, because it was the pandemic one, and then the 2 doubles with Carlo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's been pretty good. 6 and 11 years.
So I'd be curious to know how you guys remember that 18-19 season. Obviously, it was terrible. I have like this weird, I don't know, fondness about certain parts of it, only because it was like so weird and bad. But there was like this period where Solari came in and promoted Vinicius, and we're like, okay, Vinny, you got to be ahead of schedule. We desperately need you, bro. Like, I don't care. Like, I know you're a project for the future, but we need you now. So we came in. Hazard was injured.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, this kid's awesome. He can't finish to save his life, but man, he's fun.
Yeah.
He was like cooking Piqué. He was cooking Jimenez and Juan Fran and those derbies. And then we had that brief period where Reguilon was coming and he was fighting with fighting Luis Suarez and all the untouchable players. There was like something about that, how weird it was. That was like kind of like, okay, maybe we got something here for the future.
Yeah, I definitely fell in love with Vinicius right away that season, and it was really exciting to see him just thrust into the first team and just to embrace it completely. And now he's one of the leaders of the team. Every goal he scores, he taps the badge, and he's just a pure Madridista. And it was born in that 18-19 season. I remember he got hurt at one point, and it was like, damn it, the only exciting thing that we had going.
I think during that Ajax game.
Yeah,
he got injured.
And
first leg? Did he not play the second leg at all? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, there was this like weird, like after that week from hell, I was like, screw it. Like, I'm just going to go see them wherever possible. And like, I went to, well, this year, actually, I went to Getafe with Sam Sharp, Anthony Tharp, and their significant others. And I saw Getafe, but I went to Leganés and Rayo, both of which were not good matches. We drew Leganés and lost to Rayo 1-0.
Yeah.
But just the experience of, popping around different parts of Madrid and seeing them, and, just like, it was really a bummer, but like, I think that time, we were building for what we've had the last 4 or 5 years. So.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm glad we were only stuck there 1 season.
Well, I think you were on one of our Zoom calls we were doing for members, and we were having this big discussion about like how, factually speaking, we are the most spoiled fan base on earth. Like any sport, right? Because we won more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So like sometimes like when we complain, and it's not that we don't have a right to complain, of course we do. But it's like sometimes it's like, oh yeah, shit. Like most fan bases don't even get to celebrate at all. Like imagine if you're like a Harry Kane fan, like you just like your whole life is just
Yeah, I went I went to like a watch party for the Copa America final with a bunch of Colombians, and and that was fun, and until extra time, whatever. But this one guy was like, "Oh, like you're a Real Madrid fan, you must be happy all the time."
Yeah.
And I'm like, kind of. Yeah. like that 18-19 season, I've been a fan since 2013. I studied abroad and went to a few matches before we got La Decima. And since I have started watching, they've won 6 in 11 years.
It's crazy.
It's insane. And that's as many as every other club in the history of the competition, except for Milan, and so
Yeah.
just insanely spoiled. This season was super fun, and I'm just really excited for Mbappe to come and to see what that looks like. So,
Out of curiosity, who's been a Real Madrid fan here since like before 2009, like before Cristiano? A few. So how far do you guys go back? Like just blurt out a year.
My first name.
Zidane.
Zidane.
Zidane. Yeah.
1998.
98. Okay, same as me. This moment right here.
Yeah, I know that one
Yes.
very well.
Around when Hugo Sanchez.
Wow. So you've seen a lot of suffering.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm also very jealous of you. You saw Hugo Sanchez play and Cuya del Buitre. Like that's one of the eras I wish we were alive for. I mean, we were alive. Actually, no, I kind of, yeah. Barely.
yeah.
Who did that? Did someone do that?
I don't know.
Is there a Kool-Aid in here? La Porta?
Nah, the really set the
I
mood
think
here.
it's an automatic setting in the restaurant where they dim it at a certain time. I don't know. It depends if you guys like this or not. Yeah, I mean, are you guys okay with this? Or you want the lights back on? He's looking at some settings. He's going to shut down.
Right. Hopefully, we don't set off a fire alarm or anything.
Does it affect your screen?
The screen looks great. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's- I felt laptop like brightness. Goes,
Hey, all right.
So we're yeah. So you've seen suffering, I guess.
Yeah, it started with my family. I'm from Mexico. I've been here 20 years.
Yeah.
But my family in Mexico has been Madridista since I can remember. So my dad, me, and
Wow.
the third generation.
Amazing.
I love it.
Big Madridista.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Respect. Yeah. I mean, the reason I asked is because, like, obviously you have seen it and you've seen it too, Ronald. We talk about Real Madrid and Champions League DNA. There was a time where I felt it was like the opposite curse, from 2002 until 14.
Yeah.
But even before 14, there was a period where round of 16 exits were in our DNA for like 6 years straight, if I'm not mistaken.
2007.
Yeah. And then you think of so it's funny. So in my opinion, but because based on what I've seen in my age, the greatest moment in Real Madrid history for me was Sergio Ramos's header in 92-48, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's the most important. But I have a friend, Eduardo Alvarez, as some of you guys know. He's been a socio for almost 40 years. And he's had the same seat in the Bernabeu. And he's like, for him, even more important was Mihatovic's goal against Juve because that was 32 years drought.
Yeah.
So like for us, it was 12 years drought. For people like him, it was 32 years. And the point is like, it's not, there were times were not as good as today.
I always think like and obviously that was my first season watching the club and I had just studied in Madrid and I was like, damn, did I make a mistake? Like Atletico's about to win the Champions League. And I don't mean that. I was gonna wear it. If we lost to Atletico, I was gonna wear it and I was still gonna support Madrid. But all of this success that we've had since then, like, would that have happened without that moment? Like, I feel like the momentum of that moment is still going 12 years or 11 years later.
Yes. In my opinion, it's one of the biggest what ifs in Real Madrid history. If Ramos doesn't score that header, what happens? Ancelotti gets sacked that season. What happens to the Zidane timeline? But also, like, I know it might be a little bit crazy to say, but you could argue that Ramos himself is single-handedly responsible for this remontada DNA we have now. Because like that was the turning point, like, okay, not only can we do it, but we can do it no matter what the situation is. Like this, weirdly enough, and it seems like 5 years ago now, the Joselu brace against Bayern was like, yeah, of course.
It was
like, it wasn't even surprising. Like, it was like,
Yeah, I was just sitting at Just Salad watching it on my phone, like
Desensitized.
ho hum, like, oh, he scored a brace, like, I mean, like when it happened with Rodrigo against Man City,
Yeah, that was crazy.
that I was like, I said to my friend, oh well, it's been a good season. Like we
Yeah.
won La Liga.
Yeah.
And we made the Champions League semifinals.
Yeah.
We're there, we're gonna go down to a great Man City side. There's no shame in that. And then Rodrigo did what he did.
Yeah.
And then so when Jose Lu scored, I was just like, oh boy, floodgates! Like
Yeah.
here we go.
You guys remember like that the Rodrigo brace after he scored the second goal, and that it just like sometimes you just see that people like resharing that video because it gets shared so many times, and I always watch it when it comes across. I never scroll past it, but I completely forgot that he almost scored a third one right before the 90 minutes which would have been insane. They had a hat trick in like that 3-minute span. City were like paralyzed. They're like, what's going on?
Oh my God. I was watching that one at a bar in Buffalo where I'm originally from, and it was like packed with City fans, and there was like maybe one other Real Madrid fan.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were just stunned silent, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it was sweeter than like Kool-Aid tears. Like
Yeah.
because I mean, and I saw these guys all the time. It's actually a bar called Mezque, and for the longest time, it's not a Barcelona bar, I should clarify. It maybe was founded as that, but it's really like a Premier League bar. So I saw these City guys all the time, and just I felt bad for them, but I also was just like so exuberant. Like it was awesome. And then I remember they won the Premier League like the next weekend, and I was also there again, and they're like, well, at least we got this one. And I was like, fair enough. Like I felt so bad for them that day, but I did.
No.
But I was reveling in it. It was awesome. So hey,
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for popping in.
Of course.
Round of applause for Brandon.
Almighty.
Scott, just I'm keeping an eye on the time. We have a lot of time, but I just want to make sure we have about 20 minutes to give away some stuff. Who's next? Okay, come on up, bro. Remind me of your name again. Brian. Who, you got Bellingham?
Yeah.
Nice.
These chairs are nice.
Yeah, they're comfortable.
Better
Yeah.
than those.
Yeah. There's still one for you over there. All right, man. So, what's your Madridista story? How did you become a Madridista?
I think it began with my father. I think he started everything for me, and then I think that's right before like the 2014 Champions League final. I was sort of a Madrid fan, but I was too young to like even tune in to like all that stuff. But then 2014, that goal solidified it for me, and then ever since then, I was just been a diehard fan.
Nice.
And yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah. I know.
And you were at the game last night?
No, I was working.
Lucky.
Tickets were like expensive. Yeah, I was making money rather than spending money, but I mean, it was still good. I was trying to get to see them at their hotels and stuff like that. So I went last night. Went Friday. Friday they leaked that they were going to Newark Airport.
Yeah.
So me and my cousins we just straight off dipped, and once I see them on the highway, I'm like, oh my god. So I saw the police escort. We were on the opposite side, and then they were leaked that they were going to like this Equinox hotel. This is somewhere in New York.
Yeah.
So we headed to New York, and apparently they switched their hotel last minute to the Renaissance in MetLife. So we did all of that driving for no reason. So the following morning, I was determined to like go see them at the hotel and see what the vibe was. I stayed there for a bit, but I didn't get to see them at all. I got to see Pintus come out. He said he was going for a run, and it was like
Just
90
randomly? Like, in
Yeah.
the street?
No, he came out, but he just went on a run. Yeah,
Got it.
it was like 95
That's such a
degrees at that time.
Pintus thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's
That's
like, I'm
amazing.
going for a run, and then the other team, they came out and they just started like smoking cigars and stuff like that. But I came in the night as well.
Brian just dropping all these exclusives.
Like,
Players smoking cigars.
Yeah. Like I came in the night and I was hoping to get like a signature from someone, but they went straight from the bus straight into inside, and it was like, all right, but at least I got to see them.
There you go.
At the same,
I mean, you saw things that no one else saw, like Intis going for a run.
some people were there; they saw him too as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So I was, I mentioned it to you guys before recording, but it's worth it to join the Peñas in your city for this reason. Are you part of the Peña here?
Yeah, I just joined like in the spring.
Yeah.
In spring I got to watch. I watched the final this year at the playground where we had the previous
Yeah.
podcast. But that's where the Peña meets. So that's like a great atmosphere for big games and stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, because Peñas usually get official visits from the club. Like if you're a registered Peña with the club, they'll come to you if they come to your city. They'll do like autograph sessions. Like Florentino will come, Butragueño will come, Roberto Carlos will come, and some of the players will come. So if you're like wherever you guys are from in the States, it's worth it to join the Peñas, I think, for that reason alone. But yeah.
They had one, like last night, or Florentino was with the Peñas, somewhere in a hotel around here, and I wish I was part of the membership. I would have wanted to go. I just wanted a signature from somebody, but yeah.
So.
Here they didn't do like any
trainings or anything like that.
Nothing, which was surprising because out of all three cities, New York was the biggest city.
Yeah.
So I expected them to stay here. That's why I kind of booked my stay more here. We don't know until a few days before usually, but yeah. So this was the city they stayed least in.
I think the weather is more.
Why? I don't know what's going on in Charlotte, but Matt, who's supposed to be with me in Charlotte, he said, yo, there's a cyclone happening in South Carolina. I don't want to get stuck, so I can't make it anymore. I don't know what's going on. I just assume after we saw what we saw last night, it's just smooth sailing from here. Like whatever it is, we'll get through it. But I have no idea what's going on. But I'm going to Charlotte tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah.
That's nice.
So did you have any questions? Anything on your mind?
I'm just hoping Vinicius gets to win the Ballon d'Or because there's some delusions. There's some delusions out there. Like no credit. I mean, credit to Rodri. Like he had a fantastic season, but I just think Vinicius overall, he just with all the accomplishments that they have this season, there's nothing to argue about.
Yeah. I think what happened here was the international tournaments came. And like to me, the international tournaments, like for better or worse, like they tend to dictate the Ballon d'Or, right?
True.
And so in the international tournament, there was not really like one standout player on one team that won it. Like Spain was fantastic and they deserved to win that tournament. They were amazing. And I think that's where kind of the Rodri discussion started to gain momentum, right? But if you think about it, like I would argue, and as great as the season he had for City, I don't think he was even Spain's best midfielder. Like I would say Fabian was awesome. Yeah. But not to take away, like you said, anything from Rodri. But I do think the international tournament kind of started to twist it a bit because I think if the discussion ended at the Champions League final against Dortmund, it would have been Jude and Bellingham 1-2.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But then the international tournaments kind of drag the discussion. And then sometimes I wish like maybe they should just change it. The Ballon d'Or is at the end of the season. I mean, just so like because they do it over like a longer stretch and then it becomes confusing as to like give the best player of the tournament for the international tournament separate award and then have Ballon d'Or at the end of the season.
We saw this robbery with Messi and Haaland last season.
He might win it this year.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to like say. You know? Yeah. But there's like it just doesn't make any sense.
No comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I would still wager that he's the front runner right now. Vinny.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. He has to win it. Other than that, I'm excited for the team to start. I feel like we're really good on paper. That Cruz leaving was pretty crucial for us because the way he handles the ball and the way he just composure on like the midfield. I know Modric has it, but like, you know, with all these other players as the other midfielders, they're not as like agile as Cruz was. Cruz was composed. He had leadership abilities. He's great on the ball, and he shows up in those big matches.
Mhm.
And we might see that in some matches where his role is missed. And
Yeah, for
we
sure.
need a player somewhat around his
I agree.
liking.
Yeah. This is why it'll be really interesting to see like who can take that mantle
True.
this year. And that's part of the reason why I asked Ancelotti the question about Güler a few days ago. And I wonder who it's going to be. And I think the Modric renewal now like becomes very important, not just because of the way Cruz sold the tempo and the way he controlled the game, but also like the experience of like we had a big discussion about this in the podcast we did in Chicago. She's like, is anyone else at the Etihad this season by any chance for that crazy game, the penalty shootout? So one of the things that struck me when I was there was that the City play with such intensity in their pressure that Cruz was unbelievably important in that game because I can't explain it. He was unbothered. Like it did not faze him at all. He just escaped pressure with ease. It looked like he was almost floating around. And like, I think just to see that leadership from him and his body language, it just instills so much confidence in the rest of the team. Like, okay, we got him. We're good. We're gonna get through this. I also think Bellingham's a good shout to like because he's not quite like the way Cruz. He's a different kind of player, obviously.
He's a different midfielder.
But he has the ability to slow the tempo down a little bit, and he kind of has that comes, I think, because of Zidane is his idol. He likes to play like Zidane, and Zidane had that in him too. And the way he kind of slows the game down at times, he has that in his repertoire.
I think he's like a true center mid.
Yeah.
For me. Yeah. I think Bellingham could fulfill that role, and he already did it last season. But he should step up.
Yeah.
He has stepped up, but this season is very crucial for him as well in terms of that Cruz role.
Yeah, yeah. He might be playing a deeper role too now with Mbappe here, so we might see it more.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian.
No problem.
Thank you for the
inclusion. Thank you.
Someone should tweet out just in siren emoji. Real Madrid player smoking cigar at Brian.
Bar. I was at the bar in Chicago. It's called the Z Bar at the Peninsula because I stayed with the whole team.
Yeah.
And I spent about 15 to 20 minutes speaking to Solari. Just going back and forth on everything. And then my wife was there with me. And I said, hey, you mind if I take a picture? And he goes, yeah, probably no drink. I bought him like 2 glasses of wine by then. And he's like, I'll take a picture with you. But she's not the drink, okay? So we put the drinks to the side. And then we took a picture.
So he just happened to be at the bar?
Yeah, him and Roberto Carlos were at the bar. Yeah.
Great. That's awesome.
But out of all the Madrid people that I met, he just kept talking.
Yes.
Kept talking on and off. Very friendly.
Yes.
Very genuine person. It's amazing.
I love Solari. I remember during that season from hell we were talking about, he got a lot of hate. And look, it's not like he was a genius tactician coach. Don't get me wrong. But I always had a soft spot for him because of that. He always was a humble guy. And I have fond experiences with him too. And I remember one time I had a similar experience as a press. I spoke to him outside the press conference room, and he just stayed and he talked and he shook my hand and he gave me a hug after. I left thinking that was very what a nice man. He didn't have to do any of that. So yeah, I agree 100%. Very, very fond memories of Solari. It's really cool that you have those stories. I mean, that's also very interesting. That's another exclusive, right? But I remember in our Chicago podcast, someone stumbled into our podcast late, and he kind of walked into the room, and he was like, I just met Vasquez and Modric on the street. They were walking by, and like, it's so funny because people will sometimes line up for hours waiting for these guys to show up, and then sometimes you just get lucky. You just walk into the street and you see him, and you take a picture. Awesome. I'm just rambling now. Who's next? Come on up, Nishlesh. So Nishlesh is I've seen your name quite a bit. This is the first time I actually had pleasure of meeting you in person. You're on our Discord too. Tell everyone why they should be in our Discord channel.
Oh, it's fun. You can rag on each other. You can fight about Mbappe versus Haaland and all. I mean, that's in the past
No
now.
one's going to join. No.
That's in the past.
Anti-marketing.
No, but it's so much fun. Every match I have this whole community just rambling and having fun together because I'm from India. I've come all the way from India, not just for this before anyone judges me, because that's what I got as well on the Discord. They're like, you're just going for this stupid preseason game all the way from India.
I thought you were
to
going to
New
say
York.
stupid podcast.
Oh, no. Never. And then, no, I have other personal family reasons as well. But yeah, so in India, I think, so I'll kind of segue into how I became a Madridista as well.
Sure.
In India, you'll find 90% of the people following Manchester United. I don't know if anyone can vouch for me here. You do? And when I was a kid, I was introduced to football through David Beckham. And then I had to follow Manchester United. Whatever. And then he moves to Madrid. And then I didn't know what to do because I'm like, the guy I love, he's not playing for Manchester United anymore. And I was like, 8 or 9 years old, so I didn't have a brain back then. But sorry, kids, no comment on you guys. And then my cousin, he showed me a Real Madrid game, and then Beckham was there. But then I watched Van Nistelrooy play.
Yeah.
And I forgot all about Beckham. And then he was also from Man U, of course. So that was how he pulled me towards Madrid, and then the rest is history, I would say.
Awesome. So Beckham, Van Nistelrooy, and then Van Nistelrooy came to Real Madrid, and that was the path.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. So you've seen some good and bad days.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. What about anything on your mind with regards to preseason, upcoming season? Any questions?
I mean, the question I'm here. I mean, I want to ask a question about you guys more than the Madrid side of it.
Okay.
So I don't know if if this is too soon or too late in the podcast.
I don't know what you're gonna ask, so I don't know.
No, so I'm a freelance animator from India. So to make things happen, I have to put my nose in everything. Connect with people, try to make connections so that I get work. And then I saw a lot of that happening with you guys as well. Where you are someone who's connecting with all of us here. And then yesterday you were asking a question to Carlo Ancelotti. So you're kind of the bridge between the club and us. So that's really amazing for me. And I'm sure everyone here is from humble backgrounds and whatnot. And I saw that in you. So I want to ask you, like, how is this process for you?
You have to be a little bit more specific. I'm happy to answer this, but I.
So how did you get to asking Carlo Ancelotti questions from where you began? And maybe also, so I'm asking from a point of view where I know how much I had to push myself through things. Yeah. And I'm sure you have to do that to reach asking the club the questions up front right away.
Yeah.
So that's maybe my question.
Yeah. I want to be respectful to the room. Do you guys want me to answer this, or do you want me to speak to him privately after?
Oh shit, we can do that. That's my time.
No. So I mean, it's an interesting question, and I would say it was a process over several years, right? So for us, it was building trust with the club, which meant going to everything for
Yeah.
years and years.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't until recently where they actually started to take us seriously. And right
Mhm.
now we have a great relationship with the club.
Mhm.
But if you go back like from 2015 or so, we were attending matches sporadically, and it was usually when I was in town, right? So I think most of the people in this room would know Ewan McTeer, right? If I said his name.
Yep.
Ewan, I always often refer to Ewan as like one of the biggest turning points for managing Madrid, because Ewan lives in Madrid. And when I wasn't going to games or Lucas wasn't going to games, Ewan was going to games on behalf of the managing Madrid. So he was going to everything. A game against Leganes, a game against whoever, like every game, there constantly. And because of him, I think the club, it shifted in their eyes. Like we went from like, okay, these guys are like bloggers who want free tickets maybe twice a year, to like, no, these guys are everywhere and they're working relentlessly. They're putting out content nonstop. And where it really changed for us was last summer, actually, in USA, whereas they started to treat us like as if we were Marco or Ass. Like they prioritized our questions in the room, the PR guy would take Ancelotti to our side to say, hey, answer these guys' questions. And then it just gradually built. And then we're going to all the training sessions, we're talking to the Real Madrid PR guys, not even about football or Real Madrid. We're just talking about life. We're just laughing. So we're on that stage now. And I think that mattered. If I were to give a piece of advice to you or any other content creators, because I think the biggest thing to me is that I've seen so many podcasts come and go, like infinite amount. I can't even keep track. And it's just, there's a persistence level with us that was relentless from the beginning, because we had every reason to be like, what are we doing? Like, this is such a waste of time, like after a certain period of time, but we just kept pushing. Whereas and it's like showing up even when you don't want to. Like, it's not easy to show up and like turn our microphone on and podcast on every single day almost. Like, we're tired. Like, it's just, I'm like, what are we going to talk about today? But we did it. And so I think there's a lot of people who just lose that momentum. And I think that's difficult. But if I were to say the best way to kind of build up to something is just be relentless with it and don't stop and set goals and then just work backwards. Yeah. But I'm happy to be more specific with you after the podcast.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
No, but this question came to me because I could tell, when I watch your interviews with Carlo and all, I can tell he recognizes you, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I'm like, okay, this guy is doing something right.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, that's my question.
Thank you so much. By the way, our Discord actually is a fun place.
I also am a YouTube member, and that's fun as well because it's all live.
We're live on YouTube right now. Did you know that?
Of course.
Yeah.
And this is for everyone who's not a YouTube member.
There you go. Nimerium in the chat is also part of our Discord. He's chatting away. You remember him? You recognize
Of
his
course,
name?
yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. It was great meeting you. I think in about 10 minutes we'll do the prizes. So we'll keep going here. Yes, come on. Oh, are you? I thought because you were going like this. I thought you were raising your hand. Oh, okay. Well, come on up anyway.
Well,
Remind me of your name again.
Hunter.
Hunter, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is crazy to me. I've been listening for a long time. I'm from Kentucky.
Yeah.
All this stuff feels so distant. So to finally be here talking to you, getting to actually watch a Real Madrid game.
It's awesome, man.
Crazy.
I'm happy that you got to experience it.
Yeah.
And a story.
Thank you.
And last night is a story you'll never forget.
No.
Yeah. You'll be telling your grandkids about that.
I had win or lose. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
I was giggling like a little girl. I was going down there like,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. So my story about becoming Madridista.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a weird one. I started so became a fan in 2017. So a lot of people would think, oh, you saw them win 2 Champions Leagues back to back. You jumped on.
How easy?
Funny enough, I didn't even know what the Champions League was or that Real Madrid was winning it. I started playing, I moved middle schools, joined the middle school soccer team, started playing, didn't know anything about professional soccer. I remember one day, randomly after a game, we walked into a Wendy's, and there was a magazine with Messi and Ronaldo on the front.
Okay.
And everyone was like, who do you like, Messi or Ronaldo? And everybody said Messi, Messi, Messi. And I was that kid, a little turd.
Contrary.
So I told them that they're all stupid and they don't know anything, and Ronaldo was obviously better.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Messi and Ronaldo were. Crazy to everyone in here. So I think I downloaded FIFA Mobile and looked up Ronaldo on the transfer
That's
market.
hilarious.
And then from there started watching YouTube clips, and I was like, you can do that with a soccer ball? That's crazy. I couldn't believe it. So from there it led to Ronaldo highlights, to Real Madrid highlights, because I saw the other people he was playing with also doing crazy things that I never imagined.
Yeah.
And then from there, Googling Real Madrid full matches and trying to stream those illegally or whatever. And eventually, like in the 2017-18 season, I finally started finding ways to watch Real Madrid live. So one of my first matches watching live was Real Madrid versus Juve away.
The bicycle kick.
Yes. I'd never seen a bicycle kick. All of a sudden, Ronaldo, it was just this freak to me, did that. And I just stood up and was like, what? What is that? I couldn't believe it. I went to soccer the next day and was like, guys, did you see what Ronaldo did? What even is that? I'm like, it's a bicycle kick, you idiot. I mean, but yeah, it was awesome. So it was magical to me. I'm watching all that stuff. Then Ronaldo left immediately. I was like, oh, I just started watching
You
this.
just
dude.
got 1 year of Kiyan.
Yes. So then this is going to sound terrible. I apologize in advance, guys, but it was a real thought that went through my head. That 2019, that was 18-19. It's like, man, I really had to go Ronaldo over Messi. And I had to go Real Madrid over Barca. Then, of course, I stuck it through. I still loved them. I loved I felt like the club stands for something different, if that makes sense. So the whole Ronaldo thing, it made me think hard work and just push. And you do it the ugly way. I wasn't the best soccer player on my team, so I was like, I can do that. I can go to the gym. I can get better.
Yeah.
Whereas Barca was like, man, everything just comes easy to them. They just pass the ball and they just score 20 goals every
So
game.
you mean Ronaldo inspired you?
Yeah. I felt like Real Madrid represented that too.
Mm-hmm.
In my eyes, anyways. Real Madrid was the hard work and the just push through it and you fight till the end.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Barca was, everything's easy and we pass the ball and we possess. Now, of course, it looks very different looking at their situation. So I chose right. But
I don't think that was that controversial. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
I just feel so dirty being jealous of Barca at one point. Ew.
Yeah.
But and then finding this podcast, I remember.
Did your Barca fan leave? Your friend?
He wasn't having a whole lot of fun. No.
I didn't even see him leave.
Yeah, no, he slipped out. He was like, we're here with other people actually who don't watch soccer. They just came to New York with us.
Okay.
So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go find them. And I was like, you go, buddy. That's all you.
Yeah, you call them, or you call police bastards.
And then he might have left.
He's just
It's okay. I thought it was funny.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, so in Kentucky, right? There's next to no Real Madrid fans. I don't really have anyone to talk to. My family, no one in my family watches professional soccer.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, I finally found, even though I wasn't talking to y'all first, I did get on the Discord. I've not been very active, I gotta say, but I did look into that. But it was finally like hearing someone's other opinions and thoughts. And even though I wasn't talking back, I was still like bouncing it in my head, like, okay, that was really cool. That was really special. Finally getting a Real Madrid community. Because yeah, there's no Pena, unfortunately, in Lexington, Kentucky, the land of the horse races. But not yet.
Well, you can start one.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my whole story about it all.
That's awesome, man.
Just getting to shake your hand and everything.
Well, that's a very unique story. I mean, like, I don't think I've ever heard. And
Yeah,
when we talk about it Lisa that way, was it a Wendy's?
Or Wendy's.
Wendy's. They got good spicy chickens.
Yep.
Wow, that's very interesting. Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you're a Real Madrid fan now, and I'm glad you're here. Did you have anything else on your mind? Any questions or anything?
So I had a couple things from the game yesterday.
Okay.
That was super cool. I haven't heard anyone talk about it at all. Nothing on Twitter, nothing on anything. In the first half, before the game even got postponed, I think Modric, the ball just came flying at him, and he like flicked it on the side of his foot. Did no one see that? And it bounced up and then went wide, like perfectly to Fran Garcia.
Wait, who?
Modric.
Modric.
Does anybody remember that pass? Great.
We're too used to it.
Yeah, but just seeing that blew my mind. I didn't see anyone talking about that. I thought that was a cool little highlight.
For me, it was my first live game ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember what Kiyan keeps saying on the podcast, that when you're watching it live at the stadium, you don't catch anything happening. And we back home watching on television, we get the replays and all.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
I'm gonna get on ESPN Plus when I get off here. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna rewind and find that pass.
No, it's true actually. Like before that reason, like a lot of my analysis is like less informed if I'm in the stadium. Because like there's no replay. Sometimes do you know what the worst thing is? Sid Lowe was talking about this on ESPN actually like a month ago. In the Bernabeu, when it hits 90, the clock just stops. Yeah. Like you don't know, is it 91 or 99? Is it like where are we in this phase of play now? It's just like even like little things like that, people at home like they know what's going on. You
think that's intentional though? Players will not think about what the actual time is.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I don't know. I think it's just them. I don't know, for whatever reason they don't. But yeah, anyways, you are a little bit less informed. You do see other cool things too, like when Ronald was talking about how he saw Vasquez talking to Güler and stuff. There are things like that you don't see on the television, which are cool. Yeah. But yeah, man.
And then, so also something I was noticing with Güler. So you mentioned him not tracking back. I also saw the play where he did track back on Ballon and got that little slide tackle in, which I thought was maybe a glimpse of, he's got that in his locker.
Yeah.
Maybe just got to hone it, but at least some type of tackling defensive instincts. I also noticed when Endrick subbed off, Paz went wide, and then he played more middle, but not even like a 10. He was like very forward. And then there was also the run that he made in behind.
Yeah.
And that like a striker finish.
Yeah.
So I noticed that. I don't know if you had any thoughts about that, him filling in a Bellingham role, having like striker instincts and super tight control and finishing.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, to be quite honest with you, at that stage of like the second half of a classical friendly, I was like kind of I was also very wet and cold because I was stuck in the rain. But so I wasn't like thinking about it too deeply. But the substitution itself led basically the way it unfolded was like that Nico Paz could play that more advanced role.
Mm-hmm.
And he can obviously get in very advanced zones, and he's a good shooter. And in that instance, I mean, I don't think I even saw a replay, but I don't think Barca even defended that corner. It was weird.
Oh.
He was wide open.
I was talking about Güler playing more striker position, but also because Güler shifted central and Paz went wide.
Yeah.
Once that sub happened.
Yeah.
And then again, the Güler run that was offside, but he controlled it like a striker and tapped it.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
But no, the Nico Paz goal, I was up and I was screaming. I didn't care that we were losing, whatever.
Yeah.
I was having fun.
Did your friend walk out when
No, he just looked at me like, whatever. You can have that.
Yeah.
But it was what it is.
The same thing to him about the result.
I did. I told him when it started, I was like, you guys are going to win this game. Like, I've already accepted that. I'm just here to have fun.
Remembering how the Barca were celebrating it, we scored. We were just like, this is a friendly.
Yeah, I thought.
No, not me. Yeah, but it was super cool. Super, super cool.
Man, I'm so glad you made it out.
Yes.
It was great meeting you. That's a very unique story. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right. You haven't been up yet. You okay? So why don't you go first, and then Heroes, and then we can bring you, and then we might maybe. I don't remember what time we have the room till. Is it 10? Okay, then in that case, then we're good. But yeah, sorry.
Cool.
Remind me your name again.
Xavier.
Xavier.
Yes.
Awesome, man.
So I am on the Discord, by the way. I'm not an active member though.
Okay.
By any means. Not really big, but
Okay.
I also joined your Twitter Spaces probably 2 weeks ago, the last one you hosted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you had the Kiyan guy in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Vaguely remember that.
there's an interesting exchange we had there. But first time attending live podcast.
Awesome.
Myself. So my Madridista story. I started in 2007, actually.
Okay.
Back then, I actually just came off of watching a summer friendly here at MetLife Stadium. I actually got to see Barcelona versus the New York Red Bulls at the time. And I got to see Lionel Messi, Ronaldinho, and Eto'o.
Yeah.
They were absolutely toying with the Metro Stars at the time. And I was playing football growing up, but my story is I'm half Dominican and Puerto Rican. They don't watch football in those countries. We play baseball. So my family never rooted for any professional football team. And I just happened to play at a high level. So I was part of the U.S. national youth setup and whatnot. I didn't have any affiliations. And in 2007, I saw these guys play soccer at such a high level that I didn't even know what to do. I was in the stadium at MetLife. I was like 13 years old. I was absolutely mind blown by what Ronaldinho was doing. I was like, I have to go see what's happening in this league. I didn't know about Laliga, the Premier League, any of this. And I just happened to find this logo called Real Madrid as I was on some sort of like web page at the time. And I stumbled upon the Real Madrid logo and I was like, what's this? And they were like, oh, this is Barcelona's biggest rivalry. And I was like, well, I saw greatness, but I can't root for them. I was like, I have to find something different. I'm one of those people that goes against the grain. I was like, I'm just going to root for this Real Madrid team. I saw Van Nistelrooy, I saw Robinho, and I was hooked from day one. I was like, Los Blancos. I didn't know anything about the history about it for a couple of years. The first game I ever saw was actually when it was on beIN Sports here in America, and they only showed replays. They wouldn't show Real Madrid live. So I spent the first 2 years watching just replays of Real Madrid every Saturday. So my first friendly in 2011 against Celtic in Philadelphia.
Okay.
It was scary because the Celtic fan base, if anybody has ever gone, are absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
They carried a coffin into the stadium with Real Madrid logos all over it for a preseason friendly.
Nuts.
I'm talking like 2,000 just marching in.
Wow.
I was like, what is going on? I had like a Ronaldo Real Madrid jersey on. They didn't even want to shake my hand. And I'm like just like some 18-year-old kid. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on.
So I don't know if you know this, but the way it's set up, Real Madrid is allies with Rangers, and Celtic is allies with Barcelona. So
that makes a lot of
Celtic
sense.
hates Real Madrid. I don't even think we really care that much about them, but they probably hate us more.
Yeah, no, they definitely treated the friendly a lot more serious than Barcelona fans. I'll tell you that. So fast forward a few years, I went to my first actual game in Madrid. I went to the 2017 Super Cup final at the Bernabeu, where Asensio scored the 35-meter
against
banger,
Barca.
top corner. Yeah, where Ronaldo was suspended. I was depressed. I was absolutely depressed that Ronaldo wasn't there because I wanted to see him for the first time live.
Yeah.
And since then, I've got to see them 2 more times live. So I went last year for Jude's first Clásico and the game in Braga.
Got it.
And the Braga experience actually opened up my eyes to when you go see Real Madrid, fun fact, for a Champions League night, it is absolutely a different energy than going for a regular La Liga game.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, the La Liga game, Jude's first Clásico, was great. They didn't let us in with our jerseys. I had to go buy a Barcelona t-shirt. It was ridiculous. But there was more of like a tourist feel. I went to Braga, and that's where there was a controversy about the ultras going into the stadium.
Yeah.
I marched with them to the stadium, not really knowingly, because it was just a bunch of Madrid fans.
We didn't know.
Chanting Hala Madrid and everything. And I'm like, great, we're in Braga. I also met a bunch of the players at the hotel in Braga because it's such a smaller city, there's typically less people. So I got to meet Modric. I got my jersey signed by Modric, and I framed it as well.
Nice.
That's my favorite one. And I plan on going back this year for the UCL as well. I'm just waiting for us to make the knockout phase and I'll buy my tickets and go. So I've got to see them a couple times in Madrid and in Barcelona. Definitely recommend going to Madrid to see them, but probably Barcelona for the first time if you're ever going. And that's my story as a Madridista. So oftentimes I'm also on Twitter Spaces. If anybody's on there, we host them as well. We go back and forth with Kool-Aid quite often.
Oh, you just drop your handle. What's
at Savi that dude, or also known as Urine Twitter Spaces. But I've also been supportive of your podcast for 8 years now. So I've been on Patreon supporting both the Managing Madrid podcast and until this year, the Churros y Tácticas podcast. Diego has been a bit salty for a couple of years now. He was definitely personally a lot better when Barca was competing with us. I think there was a lot of good interaction, but
there was less for him to get mad about.
Exactly. So this year, unfortunately, I did cancel my Patreon for Churros y Tácticas, but I am actually going to be upgrading my Managing Madrid one
as a result of that to continue to support the effort.
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah, I'll be honest. I read my first Kiyan article in 2012.
What?
Yeah. Or no, 2014, my bad. 2014 was the year of the Septima when you were on Manchester Madrid.
Okay.
Before that, I had no idea that there was even English coverage of Madrid. I am Hispanic. I speak Spanish. So
Yeah.
I had coverage in Spanish, but I was looking, I think like a lot of people in this room, for some sort of English coverage that wasn't just like your proxy, American that doesn't watch the sport and was just giving like some teleprompter proof version of what we're doing. So I appreciate everything you guys have done. I remember when Ohm was a part of the podcast, really appreciated the work he did for Castilla, for doing the Femenino stuff. Eduardo Alvarez is my personal favorite contributor to your podcast.
I love that guy.
I have very much learned, especially as I've gotten older as a Madridista, his perspective, especially with, let's be honest, a lot of Americans have jumped on the bandwagon since 2017. Before that, it was hard to find Madridistas in America, and ever since it's kind of exploded. So hearing Eduardo Alvarez and having that local fan base perspective of the team always grounds me, it humbles me
For sure.
as a fan, because we're here, we brag the players every day here. It's fun, but we get humbled. I appreciate your perspective, seeing Hugo Sanchez. I love the older fans. As I get older as Madridista, I relate way more with you guys. And honestly, Kiyan, you provided this for all of us. I just want to thank you for that. This is my first live podcast, and I really had no questions for you. I just want to thank you for providing this platform for us.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Damn, man, you guys make me emotional. That's so sweet. Thank you. Before Eros come up, just gonna take a quick break to do trivia, okay? And then we'll get back to. I just want to make sure we get this done because I don't want to. I'm pretty sure the 10 o'clock thing is true, but I don't know. I don't know about the room situation, just in case. Okay, so here I've been doing this for a while, this trivia thing. I think I'm starting to figure it out, how to do it properly after all these years. So what's going to happen is I'm going to give away 3 things, okay? You're not going to know what they are until you win it, if you win it. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to ask a Real Madrid trivia question that is general, and we're going to do it by hand. So please don't blurt out the answer. Just put your hand up. And the first hand that comes up, I'm going to call upon that person. You can't win more than 1 prize, okay? So then if you win 1, then you're disqualified for the other 2. That's it. It's pretty simple, right? I'm not going to overcomplicate it more than that. So I'm going to ask questions. And we'll see. I have a bunch of these just lined up in the back of my head. I'm going to get a good view of all you guys. Make sure I get this right. Okay. So the first question is this. Who was the first ever player to score for Real Madrid?
Why did you get it wrong?
That's okay. Okay, here first.
Gentle?
No.
That one, sure.
No. Okay, so I've asked this. No, but that you're getting closer though, back in time. But so this question, I've asked it for years. No one's ever answered it. And the reason I ask it is because I know no one's probably going to answer it. It makes for a good story. So it's kind of a throwaway. So it's Arthur Johnson. And Arthur Johnson, it's really, really fascinating to go back. Because sometimes, me anyway, I don't know about you guys, when you think about Real Madrid, the beginning, you automatically think of Di Stefano, but there's actually 50 years before Di Stefano if you think about it. There's a little break because there was a Spanish Civil War, so it's not continuous. But 1902, Arthur Johnson came in to Real Madrid, which had been formed, but there was no official games, and they were just playing pickup games. And he came in and quote unquote revolutionized Real Madrid with very basic concepts. So For example, one of his revolutionary ideas was, hey guys, let's decide the starting lineup before kickoff. Because what would happen before is they would just like stand around and be like, all right, you play striker. The goalkeeper, this is Real Madrid Club de Football. Real Madrid's goalkeeper would sit in a lawn chair with a beer in his hand. And every time there was an attack, he would get up and put his beer down. And so Arthur Johnson was like, hey guys, no beer, no lawn chairs. Starting lineups are decided. And this was like revolutionary. And he scored the very first goal. So that's why I bring that question, because I think it's a really interesting story. All right. So here's the actual first question. We were talking about Mihatovic's goal in La Septima earlier. Who was the player who played the pass to Mihatovic for that goal? Juan. Yes. Come on up, Juan. First winner. Just gonna make sure I get the correct corresponding. Yeah. This is a signed card from Pepe.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Juan. Juan and Eros, by the way, they got me this shirt, and I'm super proud of it. So thank you, Juan. All right. Which one should I go with? All right. Ramon Calderon, you guys remember this president, right? During one of Real Madrid's eliminations in the round of 16 during that terrible spell was against Roma at the Bernabeu. At halftime of this game against Roma at the Bernabeu, while Real Madrid were getting eliminated from the round of 16, an actor came to Ramon Calderon and pretended he was an actor that he was not. Tricked Ramon Calderon into thinking it was this actor, took pictures with him and went viral. It was totally not that guy. He was pretending to be that guy. Who was the actor he was impersonating? Eros. Nicolas Cage, yes. It's hilarious. And like we're talking about like how spoiled we are. Remember that there was people, we made this joke on Managing Madrid. There was people complaining or getting upset that we lost €9, and Managing Madrid Twitter account tweeted this thing. Remember, there was a time, guys, where we were getting eliminated from the Champions League round of 16 against Roma, and our president was duped into thinking he was taking pictures with Nicolas Cage. They even honored him with a shirt, Nicolas Cage. Yes. I'm just gonna bring it up here and show you guys really quickly. If I can do this quickly. Yeah, here's the picture. You see it? No, that's the thing. If anyone who knows what Nicolas Cage knows that that's totally not Nicolas Cage. Not even close. But Ramon Calderon didn't know. All right, so this one is Tony Cruz, my man. Tony Cruz. All right, last one. Gonna go, I think, a little bit more modern for this one. All right. Real Madrid win the title in 2007. That was your first season, right? They win it on the last match day against Mallorca. Reyes, rest in peace, scored 2 goals that game. Who scored the other goal for Real Madrid?
That wasn't beat, that wasn't it?
Nope. No. No.
Is it Rose?
No.
Solari.
No.
2007.
Not Guti. No. 2007. Who? No. No.
No phones.
Who? Who? Oh, Figo. I was like, no, I couldn't hear you. What? If no one gets it. No. No. He was on the field though. No.
Was it wrong?
No.
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 Oh my God.
Was it Robin?
No. 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 Another question? You want to move on? No.
Yeah,
I will. You can guess, but if you want, but
was it on this funny story?
no. Maybe if I'll give before we move on, maybe I can give you a hint. He was from Mali. And hands up if you know Mali in Africa. No.
Was it Diarra?
Yes, Mohamedou Diarra.
Oh,
Yeah. And this, my friend, is another Pepe one. Nimarium in the chat is saying, "I wish I was there." So why don't you just show him that so he can get FOMO? Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Okay, I'm glad we got that done. I wanted to make sure we get that done. So, Eros, want to come up, bro? Yeah. All right, come on up, bro. Okay, this is a great shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is actually a shirt that was worn for 3 years, I believe, 3 seasons, which
Okay.
they used to do, which kind of makes more sense as far as like sustainability and just like if someone wants this jersey, they have 3 years chance to get one,
Right.
which I think a club this year decided to do that, which I thought was really cool. But this was actually used the year I was born, which was 2000, which was the year of, I think it was the 8th Champions League. Because it was 2000 and 2002
was the 8th. Yeah,
was
2002
Latino.
was November. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. And
Yeah.
I love the look of the classic jersey, so I decided to go with one the year I was born, and we won the Champions League. So it was just
It's a
cool
great shirt.
coincidence. Yeah.
Great shirt. Yeah.
And I became a fan in 2013-ish, 2014, just before La Decima, because all my friends were super hyped about it and
Yeah.
loved Real Madrid. And I thought, hey, if they love it as much and I like them, they're cool people, then maybe I can love it too. And I was right, and I probably outlasted them as Madridistas because most people get too busy to follow the games and stuff or just forget, and
Yeah.
they kind of lose that. But I've been very passionate about it since then. And I think Hunter was saying that his iconic moment was the Ronaldo bicycle kick, and I think that's a moment I'll never forget either.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in here who watched it will ever
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was with my brother-in-law actually before he was my brother-in-law, and we were sitting watching the match, and my dad had built this really heavy wooden table that was in the middle of the room. And out of the excitement in the moment, he jumped up and kicked the table by accident, was left with like bleeding on his foot.
Jesus.
And it was just a crazy moment that you'll
Yeah.
never forget where you were.
Just makes it more his like
yeah, it makes
crazy.
it
Yeah.
historic,
Yeah.
even more so than it already was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my Madridista story.
Awesome, man.
I've been to the Bernabeu, luckily, which not a lot of people maybe have been to. So I've been very fortunate to go. It was on my birthday last year. It ended up with a 0-0 against Sociedad.
Okay.
So it wasn't a great result, but it was just a great experience being
Yeah.
there in general. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going eventually again. But yeah, I do have a couple questions.
Sure, man.
My first question is about formation. I think most people have kind of settled in their mind that it's going to be either 4-3-3 or the diamond.
Yeah.
But I think what we've talked about even last year a lot was the double pivot
Mm-hmm.
and how it worked a lot with Cruz and Fede in those positions and helping to kind of cover the wings because Fede was really good defensively. And someone mentioned that if Güler was starting on the right, that Fede was kind of the option there. So I was thinking if Güler really does kind of work his way into the starting role and he's effective on the right wing, why not try the double pivot again? Fede can kind of try to make up for the defensive issues. And with Ferland Mendy and Tchouaméni on the left side, I think that's pretty much settled. So I think that's kind of another option that we could really try since it worked so well last year.
Yeah, I definitely think it's an option. I think it's possibly the most unlikely option of the three between 4-3-3, 4-4-2, and then the double pivot. Like 4-4-2, I'm talking about like the diamond.
The diamond formation.
So, but we saw it last year and it was amazing when Fede and Cruz played it together.
Mhm.
I mean, that team went on a huge winning streak, right?
Yeah.
And it was partly because of all the injuries Ancelotti had to make, adjustments, but it was incredible, right? And I think that double pivot, all of our midfielders can play that because almost all of our midfielders are two-way box-to-box midfielders who can play in double pivot. So while I don't think it's like at the top of the list of things that you'll see, it's definitely something that we can definitely fall back on. I think it'll work for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Camavinga or Rodrigo or Güler start, I think any of them can fit that mold really well in different positions, of course. And then also if Ancelotti's really set on keeping Bellingham as the center attacking mid and having him, make runs into the box, I think he can play that well with having the defensive cover behind him.
Yeah.
And if he needs to play further back at points, he can do that as well.
Yes.
So I think that helps.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to ask about Davide Ancelotti because in our first two stints or 2 seasons with Ancelotti, we had, I think it was Zidane that first season, La Decima, which has that iconic picture of him, yelling.
Yeah.
And then
pointing. Yeah.
we have I think our second season, I had to do some research because I couldn't even remember that it was, I think Fernando Hierro, I think was part of that staff. And I don't know if he was the specific assistant, but I think he was part of the staff. I don't remember.
Yeah, I definitely remember him there. I don't remember was it Carlo that he was the assistant to?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Which I thought was really interesting because now in what Matt talked about a lot was that we never got to see the third Carlo season.
Yeah.
And I think since Carlo has come back after Everton and everything that happened there and Napoli and all those stints that weren't really as successful, I think he's had Davide with him.
Yeah.
And he's been really effective in helping him make the right substitutions. We saw with the Joselu brace, he helped him, kind of told him like, okay, it's time. We got to bring him on. We saw a couple seasons ago when Alaba wasn't on the pitch, he came on against Almeria and took a free kick through Davide's instruction as well and scored at top bins. We all celebrated like crazy. It was the first game of the season.
Yeah.
And I think he's been really effective, not only because he's really great tactician and he knows the game really well, but I think also that relationship that he has with his dad has helped to kind of craft a new relationship within them two, but also with the team and like Friendship FC and everything. But it also has the tactical awareness behind it. So I just wanted to see what you think about his dad.
I love this. Like, rarely do you ever get like a David Ancelotti question, and like he's amazing.
Yeah.
He does have a bit of like a hipster cult following.
Yeah.
But he's in a lot of ways kind of the more analytical, data-driven mind in the coaching staff, which I think balances Carlo a lot. And I think Carlo is a very underrated tactician also, but I think Davide also brings a lot to the table, and the players really respect him. Like if you ever see Real Madrid in training, like they're always listening attentively to what he says. He's always taking people under their wing. People were laughing, but like I posted that video of players coming out of the tunnel in Chicago and Vallejo's in the back and he's listening, and Davide has his arm around Vallejo giving him instructions and stuff. So like, and it's interesting, like, I don't know if you guys notice this at the games too, but I really noticed this at the Bernabeu. When the game is happening, it's actually Carlo is often sitting, and it's Davide who's shouting. He's walking around shouting and giving instructions too. So for sure, David is awesome. Like
I agree.
Yeah,
he's had a really big impact.
Yes,
and I think he's helped to keep the pragmatism and the tactical side of football effective for the whole team.
For sure,
which has helped a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. I completely agree.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, Heroes. Thank you so much.
Of course.
How are you guys feeling? Everyone's good? Yes? Okay. I just want to make sure everyone's good. Energy's good. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, depending if the kids and you want to come up as well. Maybe not. Okay, so Juan was next. You want to come up? Okay, awesome. Juan. Okay, cool.
Tell my mom I made it.
What's that?
I'll tell my mom I made it.
Okay, she's probably watching right now. Hi, Mom. What's going on?
Real Madrid story. So I actually started watching in 2009, 2010. I think just before Ronaldo signed, I was watching a Copa del Rey game. Of course, we lost that one game.
Of
I
all
think it was-
things to bring you in.
I think it was against like Alcaron or something. Like that.
Alcorcon.
Yeah, I think like 2-0 and whatever. How was it?
Alarcón.
Alarcon.
Alarcon?
Yeah, Alarcon.
That's Isco's last name. No, it's Jaco.
It's one of those. It's one of those names. Yeah.
That's how embarrassing our Copa del Rey exits are. Like,
We don't even know
I
who
can't
we're playing
even say,
against.
like,
We don't even know the teams, and we're losing like 3-0. It's crazy. But yeah, so
right. I got thrown off. So
No, you're good.
you were brought into Real Madrid fandom because we lost that team. Amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the player that got me into it was Casillas.
Okay.
Eros knows all about this. I tell him every day. I try to find his jersey, the yellow and black jersey.
Oh.
I still look for that one every now and then, like to get my size and whatever.
That's why I said the club should open up like on the website vintage jersey collection. They would
easy.
like everyone in this room would fund the next time.
They're selling it out.
What's that?
They just started something.
They did. Didn't they recently sell the Zidane? Yeah, but do they still have it?
Even the one year, they didn't start with that.
Maybe. We'll have to look into it. Anyways,
Anyway. So yeah, started off watching Real Madrid. The biggest player that I was watching was Casillas.
Mm-hmm.
Was a big and still am a big fan of him, and so that's pretty much how I started watching Real Madrid.
Awesome.
Ever since then, literally all of my friends back home, because I'm originally from Indiana,
Yeah.
and so all my friends, Man U fans, Barcelona fans, Chelsea fans, recent Man City fans, because they're right in the bandwagon of
course,
finally
they'll be gone
winning.
soon.
Yeah.
They'll be gone.
And so they're all haters, and so, but I've been a Real Madrid fan since then.
Love that.
Man. It's been beautiful. It's been
Awesome.
a journey.
It's really cool to hear so many different paths to Madridismo. Like, it's not like sometimes you get like 10 people in a row who are like, well, I came with Cristiano in 2009. But then there's so many different ways that people become Madridistas. So it's really here to hear the variation of the stories. Do you have any questions?
I guess what is one player from the past that you would bring into the squad?
Ooh,
That is very like the current squad of this upcoming season. Who would you
so
bring?
based on need or based on fit? I mean, both. Same thing. Yeah, both. Okay. Why don't we'll answer first based on need.
Okay.
And then the second one although I don't know, it might be the same. I kind of think that the answer should always be Cristiano, just because it's the best. And so, like, no matter what our squad needs, just fit him in. Like,
Yeah, literally.
so that's one way to answer it. What would you guys could just blurt it out? What would you say is the weakest position in the team right now?
Sergio Ramos.
That's the most obvious one. Sergio Ramos. Sergio Ramos.
If it has to be fun, I will just bring Marcelo. That guy, I don't get. Okay, he doesn't track back something. He's so entertaining, and really reminds me a little bit of him because in the same way he just goes forward and like tries to cook someone no matter who it is. So if it's Marcelo, I would just think that whoever watches it just has fun watching it. In that sense, it feels fun.
Yeah. Marcelo was the other answer too. I guess it really probably as great as he is, maybe less urgent for me because I always think of it this way: Vinny and Mbappe are not going to defend much in the left wing, and so Mendy's like defense becomes really important there. But yeah, Marcelo's a great shout. Ramos, Marcelo, Cristiano. If you want like a right winger, like make him more symmetrical, you can go with like a Gareth Bale or Luis Figo or Michel. Yeah. Zidane, as great as he is, might be the least like urgent,
Yeah.
just because we have like so many tens. Yeah, we have so many tens. Yeah. Who would your pick be?
R9.
Oh,
R9.
Nazario. Going with
Ronaldo.
OG.
OG.
Yeah,
I'd bring him
it's a
back.
great shout.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
We have a lot of options on the table here. Yeah. Awesome.
Luckiest fan base in the world.
Yes, luckiest. We have to have a lot of gratitude. Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions, Juan?
That's it.
Thank you, my man. Thank you so much. Abhishek, right? Abhishek? Yes. Come on up, Abhishek. What's up, bro? How you doing? Come on in. Have a seat. All right. Madridista story. And then your question.
Well, I was 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 4, and we had a TV which was just brought in, and my elder brother was a Manchester United fan, as all fans are in India at that point. But we were watching the Champions League final, and I was 4, right? I have 2 memories from when I was 4.
Okay.
One is using my mother's lipstick on my face for no reason, and the second is Zidane scoring that Champions League final goal.
Okay.
Those are the only 2 memories I have. Totally different things, right? But at that moment, I feel like at that moment, and since then, till 2007, I only remember watching Real Madrid intermittently because I did not have a TV because
Yeah.
the games were like 2 a.m. And then, from 2007, then I had memories. Like, and I remember going through a phase in which we had like no DM.
Yeah.
Basically, I remember majority of our games being like, Casillas, what a save!
Yeah.
It was up. That was all it was up until 2010 when
Yeah.
Cristiano came in, started doing well. Yeah. So
This is
I
why,
think-
but just as an aside, and we were talking
Yeah.
about Casillas earlier. To me, that's why he's the GOAT.
he is
Because-
oh my god,
Because
Yeah.
the amount he had to go through, like we had, like when during his peak, there was a big debate about him or Buffon. And in my opinion, those are the 2 greatest of the last 25 years, and Neuer is probably somewhere in the conversation too. But and I love Buffon. He's one of my favorite non-Real Madrid players, to be honest with you. But I think the biggest differentiator between him and Buffon was that if you look at Buffon's teams, they were highly defensive, and like you look at between Italy and Juve, it was Nesta, Cannavaro, Maldini, Zambrotta. Like he just had all timers in front of him. And Casillas, it was like Pavon for years. Alvaro Mejia, Raul Bravo, no DM. Like it was just chaos. And after this is the
Guti playing
classic.
at the end.
Yeah, Gucci, Beckham, double pivot,
Yeah.
and then like Casillas would just make a save, and then he'd go like this. That's what he just like have his arms up like this. It was like on repeat. He would just be like,
Yeah.
"What's going?"
I'm not the tallest goalkeeper.
Yeah, his reactions were really good.
Reflexes were
Unreal. He's like
Yeah.
a cat. I remember like a lot of commentators would just call him like the cat Casillas, something like that. At least in English.
Ray
Something
Hudson
like
would
that.
say, "Call him the octopus."
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that too. I
He
remember that too.
looks like
Yeah.
they call him that.
They call him giraffe, right?
No, but in Spain, Giraffe is an English nickname, but in Spain they call him Pulpo, I think. Pulpo is octopus.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's my story. So I, just like you, my greatest moment as a Real Madrid fan was La Decima, and I still remember watching it, and it was 3 a.m. in India, right? And I was supposed to be quiet because my mother and father was like in the other room sleeping, and everyone was sleeping, and Ramos scored, and I had a remote in my hand, and I threw it to the wall because I did not know what to do, and I still think that is the highest high I got, only off of adrenaline.
Yeah,
Only off of adrenaline because I remember not being able to sleep that night. Like from that moment up until it's been a good journey. I can't complain much about it.
yeah,
But yeah, the fact that I've seen 2007 to 2013 feels like, okay, if something comes up, I still have these memories, right? I can get through that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You had a very good Real Madrid career as a fan.
Yes, yeah, still going on strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Any questions?
Yeah. Actually, I did have one question. So the last question was if you had to bring one player from the past in the current team. I'll ask you a negative question to that.
Okay.
So if you had to take one player from this team to the past,
I hate these questions.
and
Someone's gonna post this on Twitter. Kiyan hates this player. He wants to hear.
no. So
Yeah.
so if you were to take some player back in the era, in the 32-year time gap that we did not win anything, which player would you take to that era to give us the best chance of winning the Champions League?
Oh, okay. That's not as negative as I thought. Okay. So you're saying who would we send the savior to that era? So it would have to be someone who's in the team right now. Like it can't be
right,
Cristiano.
it can't be Cristiano.
Oh, okay.
That's but we did have good players at that point.
It might be Modric for me. Yeah. Modric. Yeah. It's one of those.
Actually, you know what? We don't have
Cruz
Cruz
is not
anymore.
there.
We don't have him. We don't have him.
Modric. It would be Modric for me anyway, I think, because I have Modric a little bit higher than Cruz. But yeah, it's got to be Modric. He's the best player, like legacy-wise, all-timer in our current squad.
I think I would tend to agree with you. I would say Cruz, but I just remember he's not there
Yeah.
anymore, which is really sad.
Yeah.
And I just like I'm real like a
This is
huge
like
fan.
it's like
Yeah.
like when in the Terminator they send back what's his name, John Connor. Like yeah, Modric should be like the John Connor. Like we send him back in time, and he just gets airdropped in like it's the thing.
I would say
We have to win, man. We have to win. Dude, are you a Barcelona fan or something? I would happily take that Pepe sign thing. If you're a Barcelona fan, just sell it to me, man. Come on. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good question. I thought it was going to be more negative. Like who would you want to get rid of in this era?
That would be easier. That would be easier. Ballon's right there in the team.
Who?
Ballon.
Oh, Bahia.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be an easier one. Yeah. So one more thing I really wanted to ask you was, so I know you're a huge Cruz fan.
Yeah.
And so am I. And there's no way to replace him at all. I don't think there is anyone. People say Enzo, but I just do not see that he's as consistent or as, I don't know. He just, the last player I saw somewhat like Cruz in his prime was Lampard when he started playing deeper for Chelsea somehow. And I remember my coach back in India would say like, watch the game, but watch Lampard. Like he doesn't run, but he'll make the game run around him. Cruz did the same for us for years. That he's not necessarily like covering 10 kilometers, 11 kilometers per game, but he's making everyone run around him. And so we don't have a controller that like yet, and I don't see anyone in the market. Would you say it makes sense to like maybe have someone like Kamavinga in the every game just to cause chaos? Because Kamavinga, he can carry the ball up just like Valverde can, and that creates chaos when he carries that ball up out of nowhere sometimes. So would you think that having Kamavinga around at left back, would that be beneficial, especially in like, let's say Laliga games and not Champions League game where we are on the back foot a little bit, especially with teams like City? But if you're playing like Levante or if you're playing like Girona, so do you think Kamavinga out there in the left back would be like a good addition to the team regularly? And we've seen him play decently at left back.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a separate conversation though. Like I think Kamavinga, whether he plays left back or left CM, it's not going to replace what Cruz brought,
Oh, no,
right?
we can't. We
So
just
like
have to change it.
he's going to bring the ball forward as a ball carrier, but not as a passer like Cruz
Yeah.
did. So I think like first of all, like is there anyone that we could sign that would do what Cruz did? No, because he's Tony Cruz, right? There's no one
Yeah,
that
there's
exists
no
like him, possibly in football history.
Yeah.
Maybe like one or two in the entire history of football that were like him or similar to him. So you're gonna have to play a different style of football,
Absolutely.
or just get a giant, like as we were, I forget who asked the question earlier, but or like we're just gonna get a giant leap from a ball progression standpoint from Arda Güler or Jude Bellingham, right?
Yeah.
And they can do that. They have that in their skill set. But with Kamavinga, he's just going to progress the ball in a different way. I think actually maybe more than Kamavinga, the one who's going to be really important is Tchouaméni.
Yeah.
Tchouaméni has that in his skill set where he can play vertical passes. So it's probably going to be a combination of both. you're gonna progress the ball in a different way, I think. But I don't know if Camavinga can do what Cruz did from like a deep play.
No, I was actually not expecting Camavinga to do the same thing as Cruz. I was just more supplementing the fact that we do not have that control in the middle with the fact that now, if you're gonna have chaos, let's just put an agent of chaos in.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's a different style of football.
It's different style of football.
Yeah.
But considering Tchouaméni might be playing centre back a lot, so we might just see Camavinga a lot in midfield.
It's very possible by default we're going to see Tchouaméni
Yeah.
centre back and Camavinga DM. Yeah.
It's interesting to see what happens.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think we're really going to appreciate Camavinga once Modric leaves.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
Don't make me sad again.
No, I think Tchouaméni is not a Cruz replacement, nor is Camavinga a Modric replacement. But I think we'll really appreciate Camavinga once Modric leaves, is what I said.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar thought when Cruz retired. I was like, well, that's Camavinga's role now. Like, because Camavinga for a long, like, he was missing out on the starting 11 in so many of these big games. Even this season and the last 2 years, Camavinga was on the bench for a lot of big games, just because you can't displace a lot of these players in starting 11. So when Cruz retired, I was like, well, finally, this might be where Camavinga finally earns a starting role consistently. That's complicated now with Mbappe coming too. So, it gets shuffled. But either way, these guys are going to play like millions of minutes this year, I think, just by default.
Yeah.
It's like, more games. Yeah, coming back here next summer, Club World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Be there.
Yeah.
And if you haven't signed up, make sure you go to FIFA.com and sign up for your names.
Already?
Yeah.
Okay. Noted. Cool. Awesome. Any other questions, bro?
No, that's all from my
Awesome.
side.
Thank you so much, Abhishek.
See you. Appreciate you.
You, yes. Remind me of your name again? Hernan. Welcome, Hernan. What's up, man? Is there a name on the back of that? No, just straight up.
I always buy jerseys without any names.
Okay.
Because the second I buy them, a year later they leave.
Yeah.
I did it with Ronaldo. I did it with Benzema. After that, I was like, I'm done. So,
But at least if you get players like that, you have the whole history like behind it too.
that's true. That's true.
You can even call the shots for the club. Yeah,
Yeah. To someone you don't like. Man, Hayek was getting.
I bought it. Maybe I'll do it on DHK. Like, let's spend like $15 on it.
Hot take. We're gonna appreciate Vallejo with our lack of center.
It's not a bad take.
That's not a bad take.
He could have his moment.
That picture,
It's supposed to be the moment.
that one picture of Bayern on the internet.
Against City. It was against City. Yeah.
Against City,
Yeah. Poor man, I'm catching too many strays in this podcast. He's a great dude.
Hot take. Vallejo will become the next Nacho.
Could be. All right, so tell us your Madridista story.
So my Madridista story is kind of insane because the first match I ever watched was the 2014 Champions League final with my cousin. So I didn't know anything about soccer back then.
Wow.
So I was mostly into two sports.
What a game.
Back in those days.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna start watching more soccer. So obviously, I speak Spanish, so I watch some Spanish content, but I got annoyed of listening to stuff in Spanish. I was like, I need to find something English, and that's how I found you guys.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah, that was kind of nice.
Interesting.
I'm managing Madrid. and
Yeah,
all
so
that.
and then that was your first game. So I mean, that game you're like, wow, this is crazy. I'm in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw Barcelona in trouble next season.
2015 Barca treble. Yeah, and then
We're gonna talk about that.
it's been pretty good since then, though.
I was just a Barca fan when we lost against Juventus in the semifinals. Yeah.
All right, let's experience it.
No, don't worry about it.
Depression, no. Everyone got depressed all of a sudden.
I know, right? Well, we won the Champions League 3 years.
Yeah. So we did good. Yeah.
Got to talk a lot of smack. Those years.
Yes, we did. Yeah, a lot of bragging rights. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you have any questions?
I didn't have a question per se, but now I'm thinking of one. And
Okay.
it would be that over the last couple seasons, we've kind of been inconsistent with the league. We've kind of won one, lost one, won one, lost one, ever since pretty much that terrible 2018 season. And what do you think the squad needs to do mentally? Because I know we have the talent to more consistently win these leagues, because we had a period of time which Barcelona won the leagues like 3 years in a row, and we just have not done that in a while.
Yeah, I think this is a really great question, because I think it's on some level it's a bit like of a mystery for the club as well. Like, why don't we have more league titles with all the talent we have, and why are we so just like consistent in the Champions League? But sometimes we just can't muster up the energy and the motivation to win these games we're supposed to win, but then we can go beat City and we can beat Liverpool, etc. And it's a little bit intangible what I'm about to say, but I do think depth is really important. I remember being in the press room for one of these games we drew in, I think it was 2000. I don't know, one of these seasons where we lost 2017-18. We beat Liverpool and we were 17 points behind Barca in the league. And I remember being in the press room after one of these games we dropped points in, and Zidane was asked, like, what's going on in the league? Why can't you guys do it? And he said something that I'll always remember. He said, we know we're supposed to start with energy. We know we have to start strong. And no matter how much we know this, and no matter how much we talk about it before a game, we just don't. And I don't know why. And if you think back to Zidane's most successful league campaign, it was the A team, B team thing. I think so. My theory is that I think when you have players who are on the bench who are hungry and want to prove themselves, they will fight and put their life on the field, even if it's a game against a smaller opponent, is my point. And I think sometimes like the A team just doesn't, like, they're just saving it for like the climax of the season. And I think that's part of the reason why you see so many points drop. So I think our depth this year actually plays with that. Like, you think about like all the hungry players, Brahim, who didn't play in the Champions League final despite such a great season. Arda Güler, who was like knocking on the door now with like right behind Rodrigo. You think about Camavinga's place and all this. I think that'll help this season, and it certainly helped last season. Last season we had a really good league campaign, so that's my theory. I do think we should have more league titles to show for, even though we won more than anyone. There's definitely been a period like where there just wasn't enough. Like Kroos and Modric should have way more league titles than they do in their career. You know what I mean? So hopefully we send Modric off with another one here.
He deserves it.
He deserves it. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, it does
what came
answer
to
my
my mind.
question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, who do you think is going to be our biggest title competitor this year? Barca or Atletico? Atletico have signed really well. And I'm not saying they're going to beat
Wait,
us,
did
but
Alvarez become official? No.
They got Sorloth.
they got Sorloth,
Yeah.
and they're either going to get Gallagher or Javi Garcia from Valencia. One of the two. whoever
Well, they
plays, yeah.
replaced Morata with Sorloth.
That's
So
an
they lost
upgrade.
Morata.
That's an upgrade, honestly. I mean, Mr. Offside.
I don't know. I still kind of like. I don't know if Barca are going to be as bad. As
I
people make
agree
them out to be.
I actually
Well, okay, so look, maybe, but here's my point is this. Man, I think, do I think Barca are as good as us? No, I don't. But do I think Barca are going to win the majority of their league games because they're better than their opponent? Yes. So from that perspective, I think they're going to be our biggest title contender. And Atletico, I don't know, they're kind of variable in that sense too. Like, you never know with Atletico.
That's true.
So I'm gonna go with Barca.
Also, you don't carry that momentum for the majority of the season. People kind of forget.
Girona, yeah. It was about like a little over half a season. I think they stayed there, right?
They beat Barca in those runs.
No, but if you remember, as Xavi pointed out, Barca were the better team against Girona twice and against Real Madrid twice. So they actually won those. From a moral standpoint, they were ethically superior. They played better for me. We'll give it. No, your Arsenal friends never gonna.
They lost a lot.
They lost a couple.
Honestly, I
players.
don't know. We can look it up really quick.
They lost the Sadio, they lost the
Who they signed? I know they. Donny Van de Beek, I think they signed. I mean, he's after he signed Van de Beek.
Girona hasn't signed anyone yet.
Yeah, they signed Donny Van de Beek.
These. Oh, sorry. No, I'm looking at the wrong column. Yeah, they got Van de Beek, Brian
Hill.
All right, guys. I think this is now we're at the chaos stage of the podcast. So I think why don't we just like hang out and socialize a bit? We'll turn off the recording. We can hang around. You guys have drinks. We'll just chill for a bit. You guys want to say goodbye to everybody on YouTube?
Yeah. Bye.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to all of you. Look forward to hanging out with you in a second. And peace out, guys. Thanks for listening at home.
Thank you.